Welcome back, children. Now we are watching the sixth video of the chapter, Conditional and Iterative Statements. Now we finished the first part of understanding what is a loop. Once again repeating, loop is a statement which can have a starting point and an ending point, and then a set of statements or a statement will be continuously executed for a period of time. That is from the starting point till the ending point. Now in the for loop, we have another name for it. We also call it as counting loop, because you might have noticed in the previous example, we actually do countings there, isn't it? Counting from natural numbers from 1 to 10 I said, then the reverse order I printed, then the series 2 3 series I printed. Other uses are also there. Let's see one by one, and then we will see one, if possible, one menu program we will be seeing once we have reached there. So let's go to our ideally once again. It's already ready here with the previous programs in the hand. This was the series which we had. I'm going to just keep that without any change, let it be there, and let's print a new one. Okay, now what am I going to do here? My plan is to make sure that you will print the multiplication table of a number till 12. All right, so here am I going to do the program. So as usual, the first will be, yes, the heading multiplication table. Easy one. These things which I am typing over here, as I was mentioning earlier also, not actually mandatory. But if you want, you can always give it. Okay, print. There lies. If you want, you can give 2. And now we'll start off. What are we going to do? We have to ask the user a number, okay, whose multiplication table whose we printed. So I'm going to ask the user. You remember this, right? Yes. Input. Okay, enter the number. That's enough. All right, the number is already now stored into NUM. I'm going to start 4. Okay, any number you can give. I'm giving P in. What is the range? My range is starting from 1 to 12, I said. So I should go till 13, right? So counting starts from 12 to 13. Yes, P is my variable into which this generated values from 1 to 13 will be stored. And I should think in my mind that I should be printing the multiplication table exactly like you write the multiplication table in your notebook. So it should be 1 into the number. The number is stored in num, isn't it? So where is 1 stored? 1 is stored in P. So first we should be writing in our print P. Then you should print that into, then num equal to, yes, these two are multiplied. So I'm going to just write my print in such a way that this will all come properly the way we want it. So P is the first one, isn't it? 1. Then the real symbol is this, isn't it? So I use that into. Okay, then the number which whose multiplication table we are going to print is num. Then we will have a space and then write equal to. Then the real multiplication, the real multiplication should start with this, correct? Let's extract and see without running, just range yourself. First value will be 1 in P. Okay, so let's imagine the num is 3. So it will be P is 1. 1 into 3 equals 1 3s are 3. So 3 will be printed. Next time again. Second value generated inside our P will be 2. So num is 3. So it is 2 into 3 equals 2 3s are 6. So that way it should be printed. So let's run it and see. 11, 4, yeah, 3. Third one, no? All right, let me just close this, because in order to see that properly, okay? Let's run it once again to say yes, I'm going to kill it. The terms are very important to understand. Okay, let's run the program. I have to keep my cursor properly. Yeah, enter the number. Let's say 3 only I said. What happened? The loop got generated. The loop got generated how many times? Yes, 12 times starting from 1. 1 into 3 equals 3. That space and all is coming because I have given the space like that. I don't know whether you noticed it. See, I have given it. Into no C3, then here a space is there. With or without the space, depending upon my font I have used, it's going to be clearly depicted. So that's it in the multiplication table. I can do a lot of things with the for loop, but we will not go a lot, in this video itself. See, this is I think something which is interesting for you, isn't it? Now let's move forward. So multiplication is printed. I hope it is clear. If it is not clear, you should tell me. That way you can think about so many things. Now in all these examples, only one-word statements are there under 4, which requires or which sets our flow of control. I will show you something before I move on to another example. Okay. What if I wanted to print a thank you? That should be outside the loop. Or you can say, what they call table over, something like that. If you wanted to print anything which is not part of the loop, or which you don't want to print for a multiple period of time, or for a continuous period of time, it is to be recommended, or it is important that you print it outside the loop. Outside the loop means along with that 4, as we can see here, it's along with the 4, whereas this is a part of this 4 loop. So flow of control will be in the loop how many times? 12 times. 12 times it will execute that particular statement, and when that is reaching the end, it is 12th time. Once it is over, it will stop the iteration or the execution of the print command, print p into num and all. Then it will come back to what we call as the table over. 7 I have given. Okay, see, what if I'm giving that along with that table over will come how many times? That you can guess it, but still for the people to see and understand. What if I'm writing like this? You know what will happen, but still looks very ugly, right? That doesn't happen. Of course, if it is required every time, you have to do it, but this is not required. So we will get back to what we told. Okay, this is it. Keep it here. Let's move on to something else. Okay. I had given a question inside our last assignment. Print the number divisible by 3 or 5 or 3 or 7, I think, something like that. Enter a number and check whether the number divisible by 3 or 5, 3 or 7. Assignment's question only, the last question. Here I'm going to tell you, print all the numbers which are divisible of 5 or divisible by 5. Understood? If that is the case, how will you write? Easy. First, of course, numbers divisible by 5. Of course, limit is required. I didn't say that. We need a limit till 100 or whatever it is. Okay, divisible by 5. All right. No, it's not required, that other one. If you want, you can give a print, symbol print. All right. 4. Any number. Okay, this time A in. What is it? Range. How many numbers I told? 1 to 100. Correct? Okay, 1 to 101. What is it? I want to see whether the numbers are divisible by 5. If I wanted to do that, I can use my if inside this. So we are actually now combining your for and our iteration and your conditional, that is your if. If A, the number generated in A, or whether the number extracted into A will be taken into consideration, and checks whether the divisibility gives you this one. So if this is satisfying, then only you print the number. Understood? No. Otherwise, don't print. Don't give an else over there, because we don't require that. We are just telling we need to only print the numbers divisible by 5. We don't have to give else not divisible. What happens, it will be also printed for a period of time, which we don't require. We only require the numbers ranging from 1 to 100, which are divisible by 5. So this much is enough. And then if you want at the end, if you want, you can write thank you. I will show you if you want what happens if I write else there. What did I do? I just did that by thinking that will be print. I have to give print. When you make a mistake, it is your responsibility to understand the mistake. Yeah, that is how you learn. Yeah, 11, 4. This is now 4. Yeah, 1 minute. I just kill and then show you the numbers. Okay, 5, 10, 15, 20. Then thank you came. At the end, you saw that, no? Yes. See? So print it for a period of time. At the end, end was given like this, and then the thank you came. Just wanted to show you what happened. See, the other one thank you was printed along with that. This thank you came down. So that's it. You can even have an if and a for along with that. Now something totally different from what we were doing. We actually told that range will work with numerical values. What I said is correct. Nothing wrong in that. But I would like to show you something else. All right. S. Well, let's input. Enter your stream. That is your class options you have chosen. So you have it an S, okay, and then I am writing for value in S. Any guesswork what will happen? This time no range. It's a for loop where S is a string, or I can give any name I want. Stream itself I can give any name. Okay, children, don't worry about what I'm trying to change and all. You try by giving S also. You try by giving S also, it will work. Just showing you the correct value and correct variable name for value in stream. Each of the character in stream is now generated one time into value. So if I print, then only you will understand. Okay. See, okay. What is it? 4, sorry, 11, 4, str. Enter your stream. My stream is commerce. You saw that? Actually, C from commerce, that was first taken into that value, that variable value. Value in stream I gave, isn't it? So stream is actually storing commerce as such. Each time the value from our stream is taken. So first character was C, that is printed. Second character was O, that was printed. Third character was M, that was printed. I gave a print once again to make sure that it is printed one by one only. If it is coming together, you will never know. So it is why I gave it like that. I can avoid that and write too. For example, I don't have to write here this print. I can also write this way. Nothing wrong in it. This time science. So only thing is you should understand, if I want, I can extract my strings character by character also using a for loop, but that time range is not required. Range is a function or a special keyword which extracts the numerical values ranging from one starting point to the end point. You'll be learning about strings a lot in the separate chapter, but this I introduced so that I can give questions to you. So strings and numerical values can be given with for. Okay, so that is one which you are going to complete. I'm going to just wind up. Let me just check the time. Yeah, there is time. It's only 14 minutes. So I'll just give you one more question. Okay, file, new file. This time my plan is to find the sum of all the numbers you entered. How to store the sum of all the numbers you entered. Okay, print. For example, sum of the first 10 first 6 numbers. All right, now let's see. Okay, now in order to store something for like sum has to be stored, we need a variable here. Okay, other than the loop counter variable which we call that for I in range, if you write, then I becomes a looping counter variable. This time we need somebody who can actually store sum, and first time nothing is there in sum, or sum giving s is equal to 0. Then I am planning to start my for I in range first 6, no, so 1 comma 7, yes, so started 1 comma 7 started. First time what, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. What is a mistake? I should have given here 4 says value or val in. Without that, where it will go, isn't it? Okay, now what is in val first time? Val is right now having 1. 1 should be stored to s, so s you are adding s equal to s plus val, so 0 plus 1, 1 is stored. Okay, fine. Again the loop will execute. The second time what is in val 2, already what is in s 1, so 2 plus this 1 which is already there in s is been stored, so we will just keep it in mind, this one. So now s is equal to 2 and val was added, and val was actually sorry, s is equal to 1 first, and then val was added and val was 2, and then we are adding s is equal to 1 plus 2 and you get 3. This is the second time. Okay, third time what is in val? Val is having your 3, correct? No, 1 2 3 went, so now s is actually having already 3, so 3 plus 3 you will get your 6. Again you have the next value, so now this value in your val is 4, so you have already 6, so that is 6 plus 4 you will get, I'm sorry, 6 plus 4 you will get 10. Correct. Again it will go, it will be just printing the next one, so now the val is having 5 and then you have already 10 there, so 10 plus 5 you will get 15. And then finally you reach 6 and you already have here s is equal to 15, and then you have 15 plus 6, so you should get the final value there, correct? No, and let me comment this so that multiple line comment. Okay, remember multiple comment, multi-line comments. All right, no, I've not done something. I have just calculated and kept. I have to print sum of the first 10 numbers, or sum equal to is enough. S, it is stored in S. No, without showing that you won't get what is in that, isn't it? Okay, 11 4, okay, 5 is not there. No, yeah, 5 is not there. Fine. Here comes the final answer of what we just told. 1 minute, I'll just show you what we did here. Each time what happened we told, and the final answer I can write there. I want to show you here. So that's 21. So here we are iterating something for a period of time. Each time when iterating, instead of printing, this time we are storing that into a variable called a sum. So each time the sum's value is changed, which is shown in that example here with the help of the value which we entered, and then we printed the final value as 21. So I hope this is clear to you. If not, also no issues, because we require a lot of explanation on this regard. So anybody who was not very clear about this, you can always ask doubt and I will clear it, provided before that your if should be clarified. So thank you very much. Now definitely I am putting a stop to this. Okay, so only 2 videos. Watch the video properly and we will be back. I said menu program. Let me see, I can add any menu program. One more video then I can attach and just see. Okay, I am not promising, but I'll see to it.